Hello, everyone, non-existent audience. Welcome to another open chat. As always, I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and as always, this particular live stream has no rhyme or reason to it. There are no themes here. We talk about things as they pop into our heads. So, while we are getting started, as usual, as I look for people to pour in, I'm going to complain about my job. Because I am a call center jockey. I work in call center sales, right? And this has been one of those particular fun weeks where you will go a long 10, 15 minutes, not a single call. So you're just kind of sitting there staring at your computer screen in dumb silence while you let your inner thoughts entertain you. I don't suggest that for some folks, right? And then you all of a sudden queue is packed up to hell out of nowhere in rapid fire. Boom, 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 caller after caller. And during these spurts, some of these individuals are some of the rudest, most impossible, most entitled, self absorbed pieces of crap I've ever had to interact with the entirety of my existence. And for the love of God, politics used to be my bread and butter. Right. You have a woman screaming at you because service, for whatever reason, did not explain to them the fact that there is no credit to repurchase the item that they just canceled, that takes 3 to 5 days. So they're screaming at you, but I was going to use it to get this item and I want it done now. The banks don't care about your feelings. They operate the way they operate. And it's the same for everybody. I'm sorry, but I have no sympathy. None. 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 So you get back to back clusters of that, right? With a few good sales here and there, right? And then there's another 10 minutes of nothing. They're kind of off-putting days because I'm a creature of routine and habit, and I prefer that slow but steady thing of calls, or maybe you get a minute or two between calls to take a breath before you get on to the next one. Days and weeks like this mess with my mind. All right. Because you could have the Karen of all Karens on the line, and then you have a 10-minute lull to think about that and let that anger kind of fester in. But, anyways, as usual, blabbing about my job. All right, it looks like I'm not getting a hold of it, apparently. Sorry about that, folks. I hope you can see and hear me well. So, that was going on. Now, update JRC. Other than having got my hands on the actual legal documents in regards to the JRC filing a complaint lawsuit against the FDA, I have not had any news since then, nor have I seen a press release from either the JRC nor from the FDA in regards to the suit. I continue to keep my eyes open. I will at some point begin dissecting that as soon as I get finished up with the 2020 final rule regards to the ban that got thrown into the trash can a year later. So, no updates on any of that yet. No new facts. But since we're here at blabbing, You know when you think you're out of something, at least for the larger part, and then out of nowhere something so stupid hits, or in this case re-hits, that you're almost dragged back in by default? Yes, folks, I'm talking about JD versus AH because now there's a new conspiracy theory. If y'all have heard me rant about the obnoxious and idiotic so-called conspiracy theories in regards to Taylor Swift, you'll know that I have zero tolerance for them, but this new one is special. Special. So what am I talking about? Well, this publication, I believe, God, what's their name? All anybody's been saying lately is the name Alexei. But it is essentially basically what it is. Here's the conspiracy theory. It is once again with the whole we're all bots. Anybody who supported JD is obviously a bot. I'm live on my channel right now. So unless I am a very, very well made AI with false memories implanted into my brain, I'm pretty sure me going live on a channel will give you a good indication of the fact that I am a real person. But that's besides the point. I'm used to be dehumanized. I'm autistic and otherwise neurodivergent. I expect that kind of treatment. I'm used to it. Okay, that doesn't really bother me so much as the open willful stupidity does. Because I got no time for it. Because now, it's not Russian bots. It's the Saudi bots. I wish to God I was kidding. Apparently, the world just can't accept the fact that the majority of people who inhabited this planet don't like liars, don't like abusers, and there is a portion of us who happen to be neurodivergent folk who are really goddamn tired of the never ending constant vilification of not just JD, but literally all of us. You know, not a single one of us are bots. Nor, for the love of God, are we from Saudi Arabia. I may live in a GOP hellscape. I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and tell you that I don't. But I don't live in Saudi Arabia. I live in the GOP hellscape that is called Missouri. Send help. Because, mother of God, they tried to defund our public libraries, and the only thing that saved it was public outcry from people like moi. All right, it's just so. According to AH's supporters who seem to have not gotten the memo that literally the court case was 2 years ago, for the love of God, move on. But since they just can't get the memo yet, here's everything that we are according to them. Let's see here. Starstruck fans who would adore the guy no matter what he does. For Elaine. We'll get to that in a minute too. Then we have, oh no, we're just these trolls and how much is he paying you? Y'all getting paid? No, seriously. My cat has a special love of a particular fancy feast that is shredded fish and gravy. I would appreciate this supposed Saudi bot money I'm apparently supposed to be getting. right? Just when you think it can't possibly get more stupid. Another autistic by the name of is watching this particular podcast and has essentially gleaned that somehow this was done to help JD with his case. Let me pull it up for you. It's special. Let's see here. Where did I find it? It's this essentially idea that the Saudis made bots to help support them and use them for God, what was that again? It was kind of special. I need to find that again. I'm sorry. It's just too insane. Oh, I know the best way to do it. Hold on, folks. This is live, and I do not have an edit button, nor do I know anything whatsoever to do in regards with video editing. Okay, so it was said here. Let me pull it up. Okay. Alexi, that's the writer of this article, is claiming Saudi Arabia is using Johnny Depp to start a war and infiltrate the US. What? How does this make sense to anyone? Legit. Legit. I always think this. Every time there's a new conspiracy theory, I always can't help but think, how in the name of God people believe this crap? How is using someone like JD going to help in infiltrating the US? How is it going to help start a war? What the fuck am I? Oh, it gets better. Not only are we bots, but the people that, or one of the main people that they're getting their information from is Miss Christina Taft. You all remember Taft, right? Yeah. You can't make this shit up, folks. Of all the bizarre conspiracy theories I have seen come out there, whether it's left or right, that one's special. What makes it so special is it doesn't even in any way, shape, or form make any coherent sense. You know what I mean? How is supporting JD by so called fake bots gonna assist in the starting of a war? Because please explain this to me like I'm five. Number two, if you're going to infiltrate the US and get intelligence, the best idea is to not to just go to a guy who's literally an actor and director and head of a studio. You would think that they might try to use somebody infinitely more useful, like a politician, somebody inside the military. Right? right. And then you had Elaine going off this week about they just adore him no matter what he do. Like they were asking Amber, what did you make him hit you? Nobody said that, Karen. Nobody said that at any point. The fact of the matter is, our belief is he did not hit her at all. Where the hell did your memo get lost? Nobody asked her that question. Literally no one. No one. Yay, a person! Hello, Echo Spice. But Echo Spice, you missed it, but there's a new conspiracy theory. You know about that article that was being put out by that tortoise, whatever they're called, right? Tugs talked about it. So, two things I learned before I jumped on here today. First one is apparently this guy has decided he's going to dox Tug. So here we go again. Tell me you're not obsessed. When your level of celebrity worship is to the point that you are willing to dox a complete stranger because said celebrity, you need help. You're dealing with real people and real people's lives. So I saw that in Echo Spice, what I was talking about a moment ago was there's a new conspiracy theory, and this time I'm going to share it on the screen now that I actually found it. Because it's special. I'll I'll get to the comic here in just a moment, but I wanted to show something here because I follow is. Read this, folks. Alexei is claiming Saudi Arabia is using Johnny Depp to start a war and infiltrate the US. You cannot make this shit up. I'm gonna leave that up there for a minute. It's not even sinking in. All right, let's pull up your comment there, Echo Spice. Bear with me a moment. Echo Spice says, I'm thinking that will bring more attention to the person one thinks is doing something wrong and should be ignored, but whatever. For fuck's sake, right? Mother of God. And I would say that not just to the media, but everybody getting their underwear in a wad, picking and biting and backstabbing each other like it's high school all over again. Debating, oh, but then you must not support JD, or you not just should get yeah. Why? So what would I like to see? I would like, if there's going to be any discourse at all, for that discourse to involve the man's work. that his personal life be left the hell alone, for him to not be stalked every single footstep he takes outside of a closed building, and to do as I do with the other well known neurodivergent in Hollywood, Sir Anthony Hopkins, continue to cheer them and essentially provide them free PR every single time I can. Just saying. It goes on and on and on and on. And some of us have moved on to other fights. I literally have the JRC fresh off the presses suing the goddamn FDA and waiting on sources and pulling through all the information I can to get more details as they become available. Most of my focus has been taken up in that, as well as the many other fronts that we fight on in the disability and neurodevelopmental rights communities, such as laws out in the UK in regards to restraint and seclusion. I did exactly what I said I was going to do towards the end of the court case. I said I was mainly going to go back to disability rights on this channel, and it's exactly what I've done. It mystifies me. This concept that you've got one of the big complaints, for God's sake, throughout the case was the social media creators. Are we robots? Stevie? Les? Myself? Dan? Tug? Darth News? Are we all robots? Because we are amazingly lifelike. And why are we having a conversation again that ended 3 years ago? And why is it being up now? And where is this weird ass conspiracy coming from? Because it sounds like it came from a crack pipe. Sockbot. But do you find missing socks? Do you know where everybody's missing socks ends up? It's just. And I don't understand why, after all this time, the media just keeps hitting back and hitting back and hitting back on this case. They are dragging it in the public discourse, essentially against the rest of the planet's will. Outside of Twitter, people are tired of it. They want to see the man in new movies. That's it. But the media keeps dragging it back and dragging it back and dragging it back constantly all the time for 2 years. Why? Like, even if this was in regards to Me Too, whatever, wouldn't you then proceed to a case where the person seems a better representative of what your movement is supposed to be about and go and support that person and get their story out there? Why is this the hill everyone wants to die on? And they insist on dying on. Echo Spice. And every time AH comes up anywhere, I feel like patting her on the head, wearing gloves, and telling her she's overdue for her nap. I don't think anything of her. I just want her off my TL. She doesn't have any current work coming out. She's not doing anything in any capacity that should be considered newsworthy. So why is she bombarding my feed still 2 years later? I don't care. I don't care what she's doing, where she's at, who she's with. I just want her to go away and go live her life far away from the limelight. Just saying is all. Echo Spice. I don't know anything about anyone's missing socks. I don't know what you're talking about. I was never there. I don't know because when you've got cases, in my opinion, and I may be biased, but you could consider JRC a clickbait article to an extent. It does kind of have a little bit of everything. I would just think if you are a PR person and you actually have good intentions regards to the Me Too movement, that instead of continuing to support a liar, you would put out a public statement, if nothing else, just for the sake of PR, and then look at all the recent cases going on in the country. Go and support those women. Go and show me and the rest of the world that you can support someone who isn't famous, isn't in the limelight. You know? Clickbait is part of what's destroying the industry of media and entertainment. People are tired of it. They know as soon as they click it, they're going to get bombarded with ads. Those windows pop up. They're just annoying. You know? This is one of the reasons, Echo Spice, that I subscribe to Jennifer Masamba's YouTube channel. She's not just a survivor from the JRC, she's a powerful advocate. She is a member of Mensa, and she does a lot of things. She'll talk about what it was like coming out of JRC, the therapy, and some of the issues she still has, and the trauma that she's been caused by that place, true. But she's also on that YouTube channel talking about the types of programs that she is on now, how that is assisted with the issues that used to be shockable offenses, for lack of a better term. She plays guitar. She talks about her day as through the eyes of a neurodiverse autistic person. And I love that channel because it's not just a continuation of a story, it's the continuation of the development of a survivor and how she's come out of it to try and help others. And not just help others in the activist role, but also in a bit of a teaching role for many younger indies. And also in some capacities, it's kind of a reach over to talk to parents and act as a mentor as an elder ND. I love that channel. because it's not just doom and gloom. And believe she talks about the gloom and doom. She does. But you see what I mean? Where is Me Too for her? I mean, that is a success story. Someone who came out of that hell has a successful YouTube channel, has so much positive stuff on her feed. She has wrote at least, I believe she at least has one book out now. She plays instruments. She's a well-trained guitar player. You know what I mean? You would think if you would want to show the true strength of womanhood, that would be it. There are similar stories like it. There are neurotypicals who have gone out there and done the same things. But no, we're going to hammer this case over until the last trumpet sounds and the ball game's over, apparently. So we're going to keep getting dragged through the mud. It doesn't phase me. I'm used to it, quite frankly. And the media is gonna hammer and it's misogyny, it's misogyny and misogyny. It's not misogyny to decide a court case based off of the evidence at hand. That is the very definition of being objective and fair. Everybody's story was heard. AH's story just was a whole bunch of badly thought out and horribly worded fan fiction spun to turn her into a victim. You can't even read her story. Forget her testimony, the crap with the mashed potatoes. But anyways, I will probably continue as always to shamelessly continue to shill all my neurodivergence fellows work, including JD's and Sir Anthony Hopkins, of course. And I will continue to dig till I can find more about this lawsuit that JRC is putting up against the FDA. Now, can I talk about this for a moment? Because I've read the fanfic of people who are 12 years old. And they came up with more plausible storylines than what she did with her accusations. What made it all unbelievable is Amber herself. She kept embellishing, and the incidents kept getting bigger and bigger and more insane as the years went by. And then suddenly there was brand new scenarios. Like somebody writing a series, AH's series of bad fan fictions about her own life. As read by, yeah. I'm just saying. When you write that bad of level of fan fiction about your own supposed life, do not seek to become an author for the love of God of any fiction work. But what can you do though? They're going to keep dragging it and dragging it, and for whatever God reason, they keep drawing politics into it. because they gotta drag politics into every goddamn thing. And then there was this bird and this beautiful nightgown, and then he was walking around covered in mashed potatoes. I'm sorry, that sounds like you had a bad trip, honey. That's all that sounds like. You had a really bad trip and used it as inspiration to write even more ridiculous fan fictions in regards to your so-called supposed life. Like, nobody with a functioning brain could read those ever embellished and ever longer incidents and believe this woman. Not unless you are just a special level of brainwashed. Sorry, but few things these idiots need to realize. They are trying to use JD. They are trying to nonsensically use JD in order to get some kind of in the support of some political agenda. When you go so far left field in that you are coming out with conspiracy theories that would make the ancient alien guys blush. That's special. Special. Echo Spice. I have a real life story of a pair of silly pigeons who made a nest out of two twigs and laid an egg on a balcony. Definitely a better story and a more believable story, for the love of God. Brief details, not enough to make your eyes bleed. It's nice, simple, complete. It doesn't continue to get more exaggerated as it goes on. And then there was this pair of silly pigeons, and it looked like they were playing Three Stooges, but it might have been the Marx Brothers because the other one kind of looked like was Harpo. But anyways, they made this nest out of two sticks. They stole the sticks from a Nazi, but we'll talk about that later. So they stole those two sticks and they made a nest. And then the man and the woman bird started arguing, and the woman didn't want to have the baby, but the man bird was misogynistic and like forced her to. Yeah, yeah. All right, Echo Spice, how did I do? Did I just sound like an stan? Did I just sound like something that would probably spew from AH's mouth? Oh no, I forgot. And then the woman bird couldn't understand why the bark on the tree while the boy bird was holding her down, why it was so dirty and full of ants. She really noticed the dirt and all the ants. There we go. Couldn't leave that part out. Oh no, how do I do? Do I sound insane yet? Right? Right. It actually somewhat physically hurt my brain to even try to dive into their mentality for like that brief time period there. That actually hurt my brain. My God. How do people function like that and think they're the elite? Right. Uh, so, anyways, apparently we're Saudi Russian troll bots who are getting paid, and it's all in an effort to start a war and infiltrate the US using JD. All the fucking crap I hear on a day-to-day basis. That one's special. That one's special. Like, why did they pinpoint that on him? You want to talk about the least likely guy on planet Earth? Yes, but let me know when you get to the paid troll sock bot because I need it in on that. My cat likes Fancy Feast. The kitty must be fed. Uh, how do we circle back constantly with these people? It's the same lies repeated over and over and over again and slammed in their faces like they're trying to find Goebbels' step-by-step guide on how to do propaganda. What I mean by that is he was the one who famously said, repeat a lie often enough and people will believe it. There's a problem with that in the social media era. Fact checking has become ridiculously easy. Please do, because he deserves Fancy Feast. He's a good boy. Oh my God. Of all the whacked out conspiracy theories. And I know I talked a little bit about them like during the last live, but holy crap. The insane conspiracy theory put out by a preacher out in Arkansas, not even that very far from me, God send help, managed to say, and hear all this, hear this insanity. Go with me down this rabbit hole. He stated that the relationship between Kelsey and Taylor has been arranged, get this, by the devil. Oh, it gets better. So that they can then produce the Antichrist. I wish I was joking. And before that, we had the other interesting conspiracy that said that their relationship was so called arranged for, and get this, so that the Chiefs' win at the Super Bowl would be rigged so Biden can get reelected. We got some special conspiracy theories right now, but that one by Alexi in that podcast, that's special. That that is some next level. That's that Alex Jones, where's my tinfoil hat? I just, yeah. No, I'm not getting paid, folks. If I were getting paid for all the advocacy and activism and shit that I do, y'all would know. 'Cause there'd be a good portion of the year you wouldn't hear from my ass because I'd be out there on an island somewhere with my fucking cat and a book with no cell phone in sight. Just saying. Right? These people are mental. I don't mean to sound ableist, just wow. No book, Shaky Beans. We're just talking about recent crap that's been out in the media. Like, everyone's a paid bot for one conspiracy theory or another and be saying, as I always do, "You people getting paid?" But anyway, so that's been going on. And then on Sunday, I get to final break only to find out that out here in the US, we had a man who was a part of the Air Force, active duty, in an act of protest, doused himself with accelerant and lit himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. Did anybody see that? But yeah, it's all over a place. He did it as an act of protest in regards to what's going on in Gaza. But he was in full uniform. I saw the vid. And yeah, right? But there's a history to that form of protest. It's an extreme form of protest that has been used by Buddhist monks out in China when they were trying to draw attention to the murdering of the Chinese Buddhists back in the day. It's actually a few famous pictures of it. It's an act of extreme protest that is done in when one is absolutely just sheerly desperate. When they've truly felt like all other avenues have failed. So we're going to try and do something that's loud enough that the media won't be able to shout it out, shout it down, as it were. And that because of the imagery, because he streamed it while he was doing it, it made it in a way that it can't be swept underneath the rug. You know what I mean? But yeah, there is a history there behind that exact form of protest, especially in regards to that form of protest when it's against genocide in particular. I don't think people would sit there and try to call it mental illness. Yeah. I remember I remember when they used some graffiti from the LA riots. And I'm old, folks. I remember the LA riots. I remember that being on the news when LA collectively lost its mind and basically turned itself within a period of hours into what looked like a war zone. So I knew that image when it came out on that album. It was ballsy. It's also one of the reasons when every time a Republican comes on and they start bitching, but it was better when Rage Against the Machine wasn't political. And I always say, what the hell? What machine do you think that they were raging against? The toaster? The microwave? But that happens every so often. Every so often it trends. And because I'm on most metal fan pages, I always see it. And every single time I facepalm. Because how can you be in 2024 and realize that Rage Against the Machine is a protest band and always has been? Yeah. But yeah, this is the level of desperation people are starting to get to. I do know that the effect Out here, we're mostly a red state, at least on the surface, except around up by Drury and MSU, and a little bit out there on the OTC campus. Other than the student protests, yeah, larger community acts like it didn't even happen. I just finally saw something on the local news about it yesterday, and they didn't even encapsulate the reasons why he did it. Right? Ring Around the Rosie, for example. That's a fun history lesson. What's even more entertaining is the majority of those of us who were actual Rage fans knew what those songs were about. I know what a lot of the protest songs in the 60s were about, depending on the singer, the song, the album. The 70s and the 90s. I mean, I'm a part of that nihilist generation, and even our music was nihilist. It is what it is. Yeah, it was. And it was a music really without the same sort of fear that we have now. One of the best things I could say about the 90s was it was the anti PC culture movement. You know, we were fighting against this crap, biased news, when opinion became the news, policing words. You know, we fought against that. There were news reports of it. I was a part of it. My brother was a part of it. Pretty much the whole damn family was a part of it in some way, shape, or capacity. And I look at this world now, I'm like, what the hell happened? Who knows, right? But yeah, so what we've had this week is an individual who committed one of the most extreme types of protest, a suicidal protest in which the person puts accelerant on themselves and light themselves on fire. It was first, I think, mainly published and became well known back when the Buddhist monks in China were doing it to draw attention to what was happening to the Chinese Buddhists there. In fact, if I remember straight, a lot of music artists from the 90s used that particular image on some of their album covers. Maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. The 90s was kind of a bit of a ride, folks. What can I say? But it did get everyone's attention. And something that extreme, there is something about it that no matter whose side you're on, you can't ignore it and just skip over it and bury it. Not with social media already sharing that stream before the first news reports could even get out. But they are trying to bury it in another way. And what I mean by that specifically is they're going on in regards to mental illness. Obviously, if you throw accelerant on yourself and light yourself on fire, this has to do with mental health. No, no. What you're seeing is a bunch of individuals grappling for half-ass explanations to lull the public. These are individuals who don't understand the concept of believing and fighting for a cause to the point, drawing attention to atrocities to the point that you have the resolve to enact that form of protest. It doesn't make someone mentally ill that goes and does such a thing. That completely ignores exactly why. And he told you why while he was walking before he set himself on fire. He explained quite clearly and quite rationally why he was taking the steps that he was taking. Yeah. Not just that, but there's been reports coming in that he made all plans, made sure that his cat was going to be looked after he knew he would have been passed away, making sure to take care of all his lively goods, and had been doing so for weeks previously. That is not a man that hadn't had a sudden snap insanity. That is an individual that was focused, clear headed, and knew exactly what he was going to do. You can't just write that off as mental illness and then bury the reason why a man would do such an extreme form of protest in the first place. But they're trying. They are trying. This but this doesn't seem like a situation of suicide by cop for me. That's not what the situation is at all. There is far too much symbolism and way too much preparation for what that guy did to simply write it off as mental illness. I don't know. What do you all think? Hey, Jenny, have you heard that we're all bots again, but now we're Saudi bots? Or did you hear the conspiracy theory? The new conspiracy theory that makes no coherent sense at all? It's special. Right. So did you hear then? I think I shared it from the whole idea. Well, the Saudis helped out Johnny with trolls and bots, and they're doing it in order to be able to start a war. And then they're going to use JD. Why the hell would they use JD in order to infiltrate the US? What the actual hell? But in AH Stanland, the conspiracy theories don't have to make coherent sense. I about died. I thought those conspiracy theories about Taylor Swift were bad. Like, just step away from the crack pipe. For the love of God. Just like step away slowly. I mean, Jesus Christ. It was just bad. Ah, But yeah, we're also talking about the guy who lit himself on fire in front of the DC embassy to Israel. People writing it off as mental illness. I get so tired, folks, of everybody writing off anything to either mental illness or the neurodivergent people do it. Like, beyond tired. You know what I expect? I expect at some point, and I hope to God I'm wrong. I hope to God that I'm wrong. But I am willing to unfortunately put money on the fact that at some point in time they're going to try and tell us that the soldier who did that was neurodivergent. Who wants to put money on it? Who wants to put money on it? Because every time something messed up in society happens, yeah, right? I'm stuck in the hellscape that is Missouri, okay? The GOP hellscape is real, but it's not Saudi Arabia. Not to mention, way to be racist about Saudi Arabia. They got some of the most beautiful landmarks on earth. Just, yeah. I saw that. I saw that. So get this, folks. We already know AH stands have doxed Tug before on numerous occasions. We have known of, yeah, this guy who's supposed to be a professional journalist, supposed to be an independent journalist, decides to dox Tug, a complete stranger. The same person who is putting Tug's information out is the same person who just made up that insane conspiracy theory that we're talking about. Then you probably know him better than I do because I never even heard of this guy before. And then all of a sudden, he's everywhere. Yeah, and he's doxing Tug. He's talking about Saudi conspiracy theories that, for whatever asinine reason, he decides that he's going to throw JD into because God knows why. Oh, and if you defend him, I'm going to dox you. I'm like, fucking good. I've only been sitting here for like 3 years daring someone. But what if we get you fired from your job? What would you like in your fruit basket? Seriously. And I piece it together. Yep. And oh my God, did you see that one of their big sources about bots was fucking Christina Taft? Miss, this is how you buy bots herself. You can't make it up. Woo! Hey, journalists, did you realize that there are two major wars going on right now? Do you think that maybe that just might be a little bit more important than constantly dragging the same regurgitated bullshit and rotating it again ad nauseum? 2 years ago, the trial ended. 2 years ago, we've got two major wars, and this is the hill they continue to want to die on, and I don't understand it. I know, right? Like, everything stopped. My whole brain, like, short-circuited. How do you e I guess as bad as their fan fiction writing is, at least they got a little smidgen of creativity? Criminals may never stop, but some of them do learn and use that to amend how they're doing their crimes, and these people can't even do that. They have literally learned nothing from any of this experience. Nothing. It's like dealing with the JRC. Oh, something isn't working? Well, we must keep doing it and hammering at it until it actually does work. Instead, they just annoy the public, and that's why many people out here are sticking mainly to the local news and the KY3 local TV station. Right! There are other cases out there. There are actual real women survivors who could actually use the help of someone like the Me Too movement. You know what would make me believe them? First, a PR statement apologizing in regards to the way that they handled the JD thing. Then I want them to actually branch out, and instead of just wrapping their arms around celebrities, they go out there and show us and bring the cameras to them backing ordinary survival women. Real women survivors. Not a single movie credit to their name. Go support those women. Go support women like Jennifer Masumba and the survivors of the JRC. Go back the boys from the Agape boarding school. Go back the girls from the Circle of Hope Ranch. People who aren't famous. And put all that money and muscle and political maneuvering. Do that. Support the real survivors. Show me you can do that. That you can apologize for making a massive mistake. And that now you will go out and you will put your money and support behind individuals who aren't mega famous. Then maybe they may be able to possibly salvage their movement. Maybe. Just maybe. You know? Oh, no. Maybe there's a little bit of optimism in me after all. I like to believe that people can learn and adapt. That hasn't been the case a good majority of the time, but I've seen those rare unicorn moments enough that I could hope that something like that could happen. Like, for example, putting support towards individuals and their families like Gabby Petito, as opposed to backing AH. Just saying. And Jenny says, God, not to mention a case that is long over, but it really fucking shouldn't. But the Chris Watts case is that one is still important because his mistress, who was there in the house, is still free. Jesus. Jesus. Other survivors are out there. Other survivors that could use that type of money, support, and backing. Just saying is all. Hey, Chairman. Good to see you, as always. Oh, right, right. Copy paste this from said movie, that movie, oh, and that movie too. It's embarrassing. There are 12-year-olds who write better fan fiction. I know it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I read them. Some of them, even with their poor spelling, still come up with better, more coherent stories than the crap that came out of AH's mouth that I'm supposed to believe happened. There are better explanations for defying physics in a Marvel movie than there is in AH's. I don't even know what that's supposed to be, but it does reality, that's for damn sure.
Hey, Tiffany.
Ah, jallo
There.
kunna ja-
Hey.
jallo jallo kunna kol dolde. Do kolam.
All right. So, and notice we're getting towards the hour, which is when everybody's coming on because I got
Jallo
on
kunna kol
way
dolde gire
earlier
baba oe.
than I
Yeah.
anticipated.
Mi wattata.
Hmm.
Eh?
So, what have you been doing, Chairman?
Uh, I've been going to doctor's appointments and stuff like that. It's
Gotcha.
like a
I've
waste of
been
money.
working.
It's a waste of money.
It can be. Jenny says, yeah, and Gabby P. case needs a happy ending because what happened to her could have been stopped if Dickhead didn't gaslight the cops. That whole situation is bullshit.
Huh.
Like, the cops were there for God's sake. Echo Spice says hi to you. No, Jenny does
Oh,
too.
hey, 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 hey.
But you notice
Uh,
there wasn't barely a blurb from the Me Too movement. Maybe there was a bunch of crap I didn't see that was in support of her and her family, but I sure as hell didn't see any.
huh.
Oh, say hi, everyone. This is a cat.
Mm.
He's gonna go off and eat his nums, I think.
Mm.
All right. Right? That's the thing that bothers me. How in the name of God can the entire planet believe the liar that is AH? And then you have a situation like this where a woman has literal bruises on her and the cops let it go. Can somebody please explain it to me like I'm 5?
Those cops should be ashamed of themselves.
They should be fired and never allowed to work in any form of law enforcement or security jobs ever
Yeah,
again.
yeah. True. It's like that
Leave it.
woman. I think this happened a couple months ago or something. A woman was arrested on a beach for pleasuring herself in public, and then a couple of days later, they found her in her apartment dead by suicide.
Jesus. And
Yeah.
nobody thought to go get her some mental help.
She was embarrassed because she was arrested on somebody was apparently recording it when she got arrested, and they plastered it all over the internet, including YouTube. And
This
then
is
a couple days later, they find her dead in her apartment because they did a wellness check on her because her friend couldn't reach her or a family member couldn't reach her, so they did a wellness check.
got the system failing all over the place, but the media wants to die on the AH hill. You got crap going on every single day. The Me Too movement could be backing up. And but AH though. I'm like, yes, she's a liar. The planet knows. Can we move on?
Yeah, yeah.
No, we got a few more accusations and new labels to throw at you. What else is new? Must be a Tuesday.
Hey, doggy. Hey, Wally. Wally. Okay, the dog jumped up here, then jumped down.
That's okay. Brahma did pretty much the same thing. No, like with the Gabby case. When they went and blamed Gabby for her own bruises. Sure, you can give yourself bruises, but those look a particular way. And
Yeah.
cops, I know this because my dad was a cop, are trained to learn the difference.
Yeah.
And he says, even though the 911 call said man was hitting woman, like how in the hell do you go from a witness saying in 911 call that Gabby was getting hit and they right, right, for the love of God.
Well, those cops should have their badges taken away and their guns and shamed
Never
for that
allowed to
crap.
work in any form of security or policing ever again.
Hmm.
But the bad thing about bad cops is they have a way of moving to new towns and their past tends to not follow them.
Yeah.
Then there's people like my dad who got blackballed. Yeah. See, my dad was from the East Coast. Nor was he ever shy about letting anybody know what when he thought he was seeing injustice or when he saw the good old boy system doing things that were not so great.
Hmm.
So they used that situation I've told you all about before when he was trying to save the woman whose husband was raping her in front of him. And my dad kind of lost it. And he put that guy into a coma.
I would have done worse than that.
And I remember because I was told that literally he said, I can do what I want. She's my wife. And my dad just didn't take kindly to that.
No, you can't. Here in Virginia, if you do that shit, especially to your wife, long as if she says no, she means no, even if that's your wife,
But
and you get 20 years.
Duke got out of the coma, sued the department, sued my dad. My dad lost his job, was no longer allowed to work in law enforcement, even though he was a good damn cop. And that was his dream since he was a kid. So he became a security guard, chief security guard up at used to be called MRC. I think it's now Veterans Hospital.
Hmm.
For like my entire life. Mom worked in the actual healthcare. He was the security chief.
Hmm.
But yeah. You got those situations where you have good cops like that. Okay, Jenny wants to know, Chairman, what are perjury charges in Virginia?
Perjury charges? I have no idea about the law for perjury. I just know the rape is a big thing here, and so is animal abuse. Is a really heavy charge here in Virginia.
Oh yeah, don't get me started. Because if you want to see me flip my shit real fast, put me to where I have to see violence against an animal. Because I
Well,
will snap.
well, we share what is it? 90% of our DNA in common with cats, and 80% of our DNA in common with dogs. So if anyone can abuse a dog or a cat, they can also do that to a human.
Many serial killers start with cats, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
like you touch my cat, you're going to die, and it's going to be slow and as painful as I can possibly make it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
people
it's
think just because the animal has more legs than they do that the animal's not related.
oh my god, right? They like I don't understand why everyone keeps letting this woman off the hook. But there's a
Uh,
thing about that. For all the crap that she's gotten away with, nobody gets away with everything forever.
oh, trust me, in the end, God will put her in her place. God will put
But
her in the right place.
whether you
Trust me.
believe in karma or whether you believe that for every action there is a consequence that naturally falls from it.
Oh, I just got done while watching a Netflix um series that they made about the last Airbender.
Ah,
That was a good series. That was a good series. They actually did a better job than M. Night Shyamalan did.
well, I haven't watched Netflix in a good long while. I think the last time that I actually watched it, I watched the Nick Cage story on the history of swear words, and that
Hmm.
was hilarious.
Huh. Well, it's ranking number one on Netflix, so you might want to give it a watch.
I may at some point.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. They took out some things that were in the animated series, but I know if they tried to do everything that the animated series did, that it would be expensive as heck because of all the CGI and stuff.
And Jenny's saying, like, there was a lot of things they could have caught AH on. One of them that I mentioned, granted, the
Oh,
video never took off, but in particular, during the detox on his island, there is technically a law that he could have used to nail her ass to the wall.
yes,
Because
yes, yes, there is. I know what I know the one you're talking about. I just can't
abuse
remember
of
what it's called.
elderly/disabled people, in particular in that of the role of a caretaker.
Yeah, that's it.
One of the main things he would need to have to prove that was to show that during that time she had power of attorney.
I would never give my wife the power of attorney over me. Holy crap.
My mom has power of attorney over me, but she's
Well,
been
that's
in.
different. That's different.
I trust her judgment. It's not so much she's my mom as much as it is she's been in healthcare for over 40 years.
Well, I would never trust my wife if I had one. No way. Mm-mm.
Yeah. She has power of attorney over me and my brother.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
I see. That's going to be the cups because that is a US ADA law, as
Uh,
well as it's being on the disability
isn't
bill of rights.
Bahamas a part of the United States technically?
I think there's a lot of laws though that are kind of bit different. We'll have to
Oh,
do in some digging if I ever get the time. And I'm not digging into that new lawsuit because somehow the JRC had the balls to decide they're going to sue a freaking federal department.
jeez. What the heck is wrong with the?
I don't know, but they're special.
That's not gonna go over well. That they're not gonna get. No.
I think they're going to bite the hand that feeds them by doing it.
Well,
Because
yeah. Yeah.
because thus far the federal government has accommodated them at every goddamn turn.
Yep. Excuse me.
This is literally turning on the people who have been protecting your ass.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. His island's in the Bahamas. I'm saying all these people who have way more times on my hand than I do.
Yeah. No kidding.
Just just saying.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're getting in. It's about an hour and 25
And 5 minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and go. There's food that needs to be fixed. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I will see you all next week. Well, not next week, the
Yeah.
week after this week. Bye bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
All right. See you later. Let's see.